gummy bear.
All right, there we go. Sorry about that, everybody. Hey, welcome to GameBreaking News with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from GiantBomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the Switch 2 and nothing else. It's going to be a good one. We have Lucy James on the show. Lucy, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. I watched the Direct, went back to sleep.
Yeah.
Back at it.
Let's do it. Did you watch it from bed?
Let's go. Pardon?
Did you watch it from bed?
Absolutely,
yes,
I did.
Good moves. Sorry, it's going to be, we're piecing everything together. Jan is on assignment right now, so me and Sean are kind of figuring everything out. I didn't have the right intro, so you might have heard me like a gummy bear there for a couple of seconds. All right, though. You know what? It's a big episode. There's a ton of Switch 2 stuff, Lucy. I say let's just get into it. Let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Ass Mornings or find the RSS feed on GiantBomb.com. You can also catch the show later on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into. Yeah, I said the thing, and now let's do the damn thing. We got a lot to get into. Here it is. Switch 2 is here, or in so much as it's here with the Direct. They gave us a ton of info, and then they gave us even more info after the Direct, which we are going to be sifting through. All that stuff is coming in real hot, but let's go through everything we do know, and as more information comes in, we'll do our best to stay on top of it. If anyone in chat has any questions or concerns that you want us to bring up as we're talking about stuff, we'll keep an eye on that. I got Sean here helping me as well on the ones and the twos to throw it. So if you guys have questions, maybe you can ping him directly and he could jump in and give us some more insight as we're talking. Yes, they're making another Switch, Lucy James. Do you want to know how much it costs?
I actually do, because they did not reveal it within the Direct.
They did not reveal it in the Direct, and there's a bunch of reasons for that, but they didn't. They waited until afterward. They did give the price right away afterward, though. It is $450 for the hardware. And then there is a bundle with Mario Kart World for $500. What's your initial reaction to those prices?
Sorry for audio listeners, because my initial reaction was a face.
A little bit of
not akin to the kind of face you make when you kind of suck a lemon.
Yeah, you made a grimace. Let's be honest. It was a grimace.
I think overall that Direct was a bit surprising. There were obviously some highlights in there. I was expecting way more first party. It was very interesting to see them focus so much on third party. Ooh, yeah, that's not a day one purchase for me at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it will be for me, but I'm a sucker for Nintendo stuff, so of course. But I do think that price is high and yet not that surprising. As we were going through the Direct, I think we had like one more chance to all give our guess on what we thought the price was going to be. And I was like, yeah, $450 sounds right. And then I think we might have been on this show last week. It was recently, but we constantly were discussing the prices. I got to a point in my head where it's like, because of all the uncertainty with tariffs and the global economic situation and uncertainty about even the value of the yen and all this other stuff, they probably would do some version of the Switch 2 bundled with Mario Kart and try to get that price as high as possible. And that's exactly what they're doing. $500 for Mario Kart World bundled in with Switch 2, and we'll go over what Mario Kart World is and all this other stuff. And the system is out. It's out June. What was the date exactly?
The 5th?
Yeah, June 5th. June 5th, 2025. So about 2 months exactly from now, that system will be out. I think that the Mario Kart move is especially smart because they are... I mean, it's smart in one way, and another way it's kind of, it's got people worried. They're charging $80 for Mario Kart World, which is an open world Mario Kart game. It looks big and new and shiny, and I'm definitely interested in it. There are a lot of features, and we're going to go through the Direct here, beat by beat here in a moment. But yeah, I think saying, okay, this game is $80, and I think is it $70 digitally if you get it separately digitally. So, but if you get it bundled in with the Switch 2, you are going to be saving money on day one. I think a lot of people are just going to end up going for that $500 bundle and spend $500 on a Switch 2 and not be too mad about it because they're going to feel like they're getting a deal because of Mario Kart, right?
Yeah, I mean, Mario Kart is one. What is the sales figures on Mario Kart 8 at the moment?
It's like it's approaching like 60 million. It's north of 50 million. Yeah, it's wild.
Insane. And I mean, looking at the stuff that we saw in Mario Kart World today, you know what? They've got me. I will be playing a lot. You know what the thing that got me was when they had different costumes, and I really didn't expect to learn that about myself this morning. But when I was like, Peach, but she's in a new hat. Okay. Yeah, it's a shame. Like the $10 more for physical media. Man, are these just the times that we live in now? I guess so.
I mean, they're hedging for all these things that are so uncertain. Last month it was Trump saying that he's going to put tariffs on imports from Mexico. A lot of these games are physically manufactured in places like Mexico, and then they get imported into the United States. And if there was a tariff on that, and it was like a 25% tariff, it was some insane number. That is something that they just couldn't. That is their margin right there. Yeah, like that's their entire margin. So it was going to be a problem no matter what. So they're kind of hedging against that. And really, this is them saying, "Hey, just go buy digital. Like it's going to save us all money in the end. It's going to save us money. Yep. So we are actually finally, for the first time, really going to pass on savings to you, at least initially. Obviously, that is the sticker price." People who buy physical find other ways to save money by trading games in, buying used. And if more people are going digital, that'll be a little bit more difficult. But, at least...
But they did come out the other day and say that they have the game cart trading thing.
Yes, the family sharing. Yes. So
family sharing.
That's all part of this. Yes.
All of this stuff, a lot of this stuff, and we'll talk about what they showed today, is very reminiscent of how Xbox and PlayStation were showcasing the One and the PS4.
Yep, definitely.
It does kind of feel like going back in time 10 years ago, but that's kind of Nintendo when you think about their approach to online and even the chat stuff that they announced today. Like
that was very Xbox 360. Yes, we'll get, like I said, we'll get all that.
Yeah, my feelings about those guided, like fake little multiplayer videos aside, it felt really strange for them to put that so high up in the direct to be like, look, we're doing something new. And like, this isn't new, that's just Discord.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's expensive. And they did say at the end of the direct, there will be more announcements to come. We have a Mario Kart direct in a couple weeks. Yeah. Wow.
So it's I think that they they're passing on the savings for the digital games, but really they're raising the prices, right? That's another thing. So all of these things are maneuvers from Nintendo to get away with as much as possible, which is what all these companies do. But like I'm catching myself. I'm sitting here saying like they're passing on the savings, and really they raised the prices of games. That's what they did, even on the digital side. The game's going to be more expensive than the last Mario Kart. And yet I'm saying thank you, Nintendo, for not charging me as much as the physical version. So it's like that they understand what they're doing. They understand the psychology. And that is clearly what they've done with the $500 bundle and this variable pricing between digital and physical.
Yeah. And I mean, Nintendo as well, of all the companies, they're the ones whose games physically hold their value way more than anyone else. Like, and digitally, it's so rare that you will have a huge sale on Nintendo products, and so I guess this is just the future.
All right, let's just go through it. So they did open with Mario Kart World. I got all this from Matt Patches at Polygon, although we'll sprinkle in some Jordan Midler here and there from VGC and a few other things as well. I don't know. He refers to himself as the Scotsman. It's kind of embarrassing. All right. A new Mario Kart game was teased during the Switch 2's initial reveal, but now it's official. Mario Kart World is arriving for the console's launch. This version's twist. The weather changes, off-roading is highly encouraged, and you can keep on driving to the next course. It packs 24 racers into each race, making this the most open-world experience of any Mario Kart. And then there's the promise of tons of social multiplayer modes. It's $80. Yes, and it's so this one I was like kind of like also hoping for. It'd be open-world Mario Kart because I'm a big fan of Burnout Paradise. I could imagine driving around in carts with friends could be a very good time. I hope that
taking pictures together.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're right. It made it feel very social, where it wasn't just about racing. It was like, let's get all together
Very
and we're going to
Forza.
pose. It was, yeah, of course, very Forza Horizon. I think this is a pretty good hook for Mario Kart. Like, for the 10th Mario Kart, however they count it, it's one that I'm at least like, oh, I need to check this out, as opposed to if it was just Mario Kart 8 again. I've played so much of that. I mean, of course, again, I would get it, but I wouldn't be quite as excited as I am for this version of this. Do you think this can work?
Oh, yeah, absolutely will. Like Mario Kart 8, what? They can't release it for the 4th time. That's right, because it was Wii U. No, yeah, Wii U, Switch, and then there was like an expanded version or something.
Yep.
Is that right? I don't know. It's been around for like almost 10 years for Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, the Wii U, from the Wii U version. Yeah, I think it's been almost exactly 10 years.
Yeah. God. But no, I mean, Mario Kart World makes sense, especially as they're pushing a lot of more multiplayer online functionality. It makes sense to really show off a game that is going to take full advantage of that, which is Mario Kart. So they get to show off game chat. They get to show off, hopefully, an easier way to link up with people. Because, man, I remember trying to get in with your friends on Nintendo Switch was an absolute pain in the arse. So I hope that they fix that. But no, I mean, like, weather changing, off-road, kind of reducing that. It's to keep you playing, right? Because it kind of reduces that friction of like, hey, I'll go in, I'll play a course, and then I'm booted back up into a menu. And then, oh, well, if I'm in a menu, maybe I'll just go play something else, right? But if it's in this big open world, you just want to drive to the next thing and keep people engaged and keep people having fun. And so I'm interested to see what else they're putting. I want to see the courses. But, I mean, it was a good showing for Mario Kart World, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right that keeping people playing, really giving people more to do in between when their friends aren't available to play online. Because I think Mario, or to play in person, obviously Nintendo Switch was a big local multiplayer system for a lot of families. I think that if they could build out a game where it's like, okay, yes, you're playing with your friends a lot of the time, you're hanging out, but in between that, let's go set the fastest speed record on this one road, the way Burnout or Forza works, so that there's this asynchronous multiplayer element to it as well, to kind of keep things interesting for a longer period of time. I find that very enticing, and I thought the game looked really good. And kind of this big wet map where you drive between all the regular Mario biomes, that totally works for me. You mentioned wanting more seamless online. Well, we'll see how it actually ends up working. I bet friend codes will still be involved in some way, but they introduced game chat, which seems to be the primary function.
Button is for chat.
Yes, this seems to be the primary function for that C button. Is you press the C button and it's going to take you to the Nintendo version of Discord. Is exactly what it looked like, complete with like cameras being in an overlay or on top of the game that you're playing.
In a little circle.
Yes. Right there. So there was a lot of like integration into the games themselves with this. So that's like the maybe some of the cooler aspects of this. But at its most base level, it is a chat system so that you can communicate with other people online while you're playing games without having to use a separate phone app, which was a joke.
I was gonna say, oh yeah, wait, no, I'm just don't worry, we'll just play Mario Kart together. Yeah. Yep. That was baffling.
Yep, absolutely.
So glad they figured that one out.
Yeah, and I think that it's we're going to see people probably use this, but I do wonder how that microphone is going to work. So they showed, like, if you're holding the system, there's a microphone built into the Switch too, just like the Steam Deck, and that works pretty well on the Steam Deck. I bet it's going to work pretty good here. But it's also that same microphone that you will be using, but when it's on the dock by your TV. So
yeah,
you're going to be kind of shouting at a mic that's a room away. Now, they are promising some like noise canceling features, which, hey, they are partners with NVIDIA, who happens to have very good noise canceling features. So I suspect that will work fine. But I do think it's like, man, it would have been better if you could have put the microphone in the Joy-Con instead. Although I guess people are gripping that. Maybe that would sound terrible. I guess
if your hands are all over it,
I mean, that PlayStation, the DualSense works that way, right? It's got a microphone built in, although I bet most people don't actually use that. The mic's in between
the sticks.
Right.
There's no way that you would, unless you were doing something mad, you would be rubbing on that one. But yeah, with the Joy-Con where your hands are, either it's in the little connection thing, or it would just be difficult to place. I did like the example where they're like, oh, you get this guy making a smoothie or whatever. It's okay. It'll get rid of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
because we mentioned it, like you're going to have like the little circles with your camera feed. There is a separate Nintendo Switch 2 camera. It's going to be $50. You plug that into the USB-C port on top of the Switch. So there's one on the bottom where you can still charge it in the dock, and then there's one on top of the Switch so you can add other accessories like this. And that enables people to see your video as well in the Switch 2 game chat function, but also it'll work inside some games. We'll talk about it more here, but they showed like some Mario Party mini games where
iToy ass gaming.
It looked like iToy. It looked like iToy and Kinect.
It looked like iToy. Yep. It was great.
Yeah. I was like, for Mario Party, that sounds like a good time to me. And then there were other elements where it's like maybe it wasn't how you were interacting with the game, but it still had your little head in a bubble next to your character inside the game, so you could like see each other's facial expressions and things like that. And again, Mario Party was a pretty good use case for that, where it's like, I do want to see the misery on my friends' faces when we're playing Mario Party. That's half the fun. So
I want to be able to make my me by scanning my face again, if we're going to be using the camera.
Well,
question for you. I'm really interested in, as a parent, what you think about the increased social capabilities of Switch 2 camera. Because I don't know, when I was watching the Direct, I was like, I don't know if I would want that for my kid to have access to. And there will be parental controls. They did say that, but it just, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm personally...
my kids playing with random people online.
Yeah, I don't need them seeing what people see when they play Uno on Xbox 360 for sure. Which is all just, my understanding is just mostly penises and cocaine. And so, yeah, I want to keep that away from the kiddos. I'm going to set that parental thing so cameras are just not going to work no matter what in games for them. Just period. Like, that's how I would set that. And then it's like, if they're in a friend group and it's like, as long as it's whitelist, that's how I'll do it. If it's a whitelist situation where it's like, here's your cousin, they got this too, I will whitelist them so the camera and speech functionality works for them. Yeah, that's okay. And I expect with Nintendo, that's probably how it's going to work. Like, you have to be explicitly friends to make sure that is going to go through.
I think as well, because even my sister, when she was setting up her, like, I gave a Switch to my nieces, and she was like, oh, there was even an app for me to set it up. And so I would assume that parental guidance and controls would go in there. But unless you get a kid who's like, 9, and they're just like, oh, I'm just going to set it up by myself, blah, blah, blah.
That's right. Yes, that's going to be a concern for some. But the first video that wasn't in the Direct, they uploaded to the Nintendo YouTube channel, was 2 videos about parental control apps. So they understand. It's Nintendo. Of course, there's a reason they haven't done this until this point, other than the fact that they always do these things 10 to 15 to, in this case, like 20 years later. How old's the Xbox 360? Actually, don't tell me. I don't need to know.
No, the iToy was PS2, man.
Yeah, and the iToy's PS2. That's right. Easy crazy. All right. Then there was the Nintendo. Oh, excuse me. Let's do this one first. Local play via Game Share. While the Switch allowed for local play on one console using 2 Joy-Cons, the Switch 2's Game Share function will allow pals to play each other in a local setting using a single shared game, even if the friend doesn't own a copy. That's something they've done on previous Nintendo consoles, so it'll be back. There will be basically share play.
Share play. Remember that one?
Yep.
PS4.
Yeah.
Do they still do that?
They do. We tried to do it for something the other day, and eventually we got it working. It was a hassle. We did not know what we were doing.
Because I remember Far Cry was the one that they showed, Far Cry 4, where you could like pop into people's games and you'd have the keys to Kira.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yes, where you can like see. Yeah, didn't they? Eventually, they did something like that with Google Stadia. Whatever. Either way, it's cool that this functionality is back. Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. So they have their own version of like Astro's Playroom or one of these introductory demo collections. And it's going to cost money. It's not free. Nintendo's so weird. Basically you play as like a little character that, I don't know, this is going to be a reference that Nintendo fans get, but it looks like the same characters from like Clubhouse games, that one that came out for Switch, but he's like shrunk down and walking around the face of a Switch 2 Joy-Con, and he's saying things like, where are the magnets? And then the Switch 2 Welcome Tour will show you.
Why did you sound like Dan Reichert when you said that?
All of my weird characters sound like either Dan Reichert or Daffy Duck or both. My Dan Reichert impression does sound like Daffy Duck. Yeah, I think that this is a neat thing. I can't imagine why they're charging. Why is this just not included in the Switch 2? Like, you know, you get a Steam Deck, Lucy, and that you get that little introductory thing from Valve, or you get their VR headset and you get the introductory games that show you like what all this stuff does, and it's like you're in Aperture Science Labs and you're messing around with stuff, and all that stuff's always free. What is wrong with Nintendo, other than everything?
They want money.
Yeah, they do seem to want money.
At certain times, they just want money.
Yeah, I can't like. Just include it, Nintendo. Don't be so weird. It's not just like educational. There were some like, here, take those Switch 2 Joy-Con, move it like a mouse, and you could do some putting mini games and things like that. But it's like nowhere even close to an Astro's Playroom, and yet Astro's Playroom included in every PS5. So very weird company doing very weird things. We mentioned this earlier. Mario Party Jamboree is getting an upgrade. This will be a new addition to Mario Party. It's Super Mario Party Jamboree. It'll have new games, new mini games. I don't know if they said new boards, but it will have basically new function. And this is to bring in all of that stuff with the camera and the game chat, and all this stuff will be exclusive to Switch 2. And I think they are planning to have, there's an upgrade path, and then there's also, they're selling the game separately for Switch 2 with all this stuff included. So it'll be a Switch 2 box on the shelf with this. For the upgrade path, Lucy, so far, as I can see, and again, chat, we're keeping an eye on you if you have more details. If you've seen anything more, let us know. They haven't really said what that upgrade path will be if you want to buy it a la carte. If you want to go out there and get just the upgrade for the game that you own, they haven't said. But if you're a Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack member, that $50 a year tier, you get not all of them, but you get many of these upgrades for free, or included, I should say.
Yeah, to me, this feels like a $10.
I think that's probably going to be right. And then the Switch 2 version is just $70, right? Like that's how they do that. Yeah, that's the way PlayStation's done it many times. I think Nintendo copying that, at least in the case of games where they have upgrades, that makes some sense. I thought all those Mario Party things looked pretty fun. They looked pretty cool.
I genuinely was like, I can't wait to play them with all of you.
Where they did even the iToy stuff where they were balancing the Goombas on their head. I thought that was very cute, and yeah, I kind of can't wait. Enhanced Zelda games, and they're enhancing both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. With like things like HDR, upgraded graphics, improved frame rate. They showed it off. It looked really good. I guess this is the time to point out this is the first time Nintendo has ever done one of these streams, or maybe uploaded anything to YouTube in 4K. It was Oh wow! Yeah, and so it was like streaming in 4K. A lot of these games are going to output at 4K, and then probably in Zelda's case get up-res to like 1080p, and then. Or at least they'll render it at 1080p and then up-res it to 4K. But it looked really, really nice. And I was like, oh, man, I would like to play these games again with improved visuals. That's really promising. As we mentioned, the mouse functionality has been confirmed. They showed it off a bunch of times now. I was going to say
they invented Smart Glass.
Yes, they also... That's right. That's right. The app. Was that the Nintendo Today app, or is it a separate app? Either way, there's a separate app that can give you details about Zelda as you're playing the game. And you can then get QR codes when you create something using Ultra Hand to like when you create your various contraptions. You could share it with your friends using the app, or they could share it with you, or you can go online and find a resource so you don't have to build things yourself. But it was very Smart Glass.
It's very. Do you remember the Palantir app?
I don't.
That they had for Shadow of Mordor.
That sounds familiar. Yes. Yeah,
they had like a Smart Glass kind of similar app where it was like tracking where you were, give you lore, give you a bunch of stuff. So yeah, very, very nice mix of those.
There are people who are like trying to help us find sources saying that the upgrades will be about $10, but it's 8,500 yen in Japan, which is $8.50 ish. Yeah. It's very hard these days to do these conversions with everything. I'm waving at the world, everybody.
That's for the full game. They're looking at 1,000 yen for Breath of the Wild. They're looking at 2,000 yen for Kirby. So that's presumably going to translate to like $10 and $20 depending on the game.
Right. Okay. Yes. Thank you. 8,500 would, yes, that would be $85. Jeez.
You could get it tax free if it's over 55.
That's right.
100.
I just write it all off. I just buy it with the Game Mess account.
That was smart.
All right, next one was Drag and Drive, which Mike Minotti referred to as Woke Rocket League. It's
oh my God, no, he didn't.
He did, and he said, "I'm not even sorry." It is a new game to show off the mouse. Lucy's shocked. It worked in the moment, Lucy. Don't worry, he got away with it. Basically, this is a way for them to have mouse functionality in one game, so that they can be like, "Here's something you can do." And it is characters in wheelchairs, like dunking a basketball. And as you move both Joy-Con as mice on a surface, it is like you're controlling the wheels of the wheelchair. It's neat.
I thought it looked really cool. Like, especially the way where you could wave to get someone to throw the ball at you, like to dunk. Like, I thought it was a really fun implementation of those motion controls and the little mouse functionality.
I did too. I think that this would have been better if it was like one of the games in like a new Pilot Wings or like a variation on that series where it's like, let's put a bunch of ideas into one game. I don't know how much this can sort of stand. Oh, I can't. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I swear to God, I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean it, Lucy. No, don't cancel me. Oh, she's ashamed just to be on the show. I don't know.
want to get dragged down with all of you.
I don't know if this one can sort of survive on its own. It does remind me of like Destruction All-Stars, and honestly, Destruction All-Stars look better than this. So we'll see.
Yep.
Then there was a bunch of third-party games. Let's go through them here. Deltarune is going to be coming to the system. That's the complete game. Chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4, all in one bundle. Yep. Borderlands 4. Yep. And then let's see.
So it was Randy Pitchford in a shiny jacket.
Oh, weird. He wears shiny jackets now. Very interesting character development for him. Sid Meier's Civilization 7 Nintendo Switch 2 edition. That had mouse functionality added, as many predicted it would. WWE 2K, NBA 2K, Survival Kids, Enter the Gungeon 2, Starseeker, Astroneer Expeditions, a new Astroneer game. Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition. Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate, Elden Ring Tarnished Edition, Hades 2, Street Fighter 6, and then as I think Sean had added here, local wireless matches are so back, baby. That will be pretty cool, actually. Let's see, Daemon Ex Machina, Titanic, Scion, Split Fiction, EA Sports Football Club, EA Sports Madden NFL, Hogwarts Legacy.
Funny to me that they put EA Sports on there because those versions of FIFA are, what was it? IGN would give them 2 out of 10 every year, and they would copy paste their own review because EA would just copy paste FIFA every year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we know that's going to be the case anymore. This could be full fat FIFA.
But it's still one of my favorite things IGN has ever done. I think that's a Simon Cardy special.
It was a good move, and that's very fair to that game because those were just roster updates, and that's it. And they were charging for it new every year. Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition, and they showed off a glimpse, a sort of tease of Project 007, which is coming to Switch 2 as well from IOI Interactive. Bravely Default.
All the places I thought we would see Project 007, I would not have been the Switch 2 reveal.
I know. I felt the same way. And then it's like, once it's going, it's like James Bond and Nintendo have a long history. That's where a lot of gamers still associate James Bond with GoldenEye 007 on N64. So I guess it does fit, but you're right. I was not expecting that to be at this showcase. Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster, Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, Kinutsugami.
Bro.
Yeah.
New cutscenes.
Yeah, is that
I'm going to be playing. That's genuinely, I posted this on Blue Sky, but I was like, why is it I'm 40 minutes into the Direct and Yakuza is the killer app for the Switch 2 for me?
Yeah, it's that was surprising. And really, that, as I'm going to keep going through this list in a second, but let's talk about this real quick. A lot of these versions coming to the Switch 2 are like new edition, director's cut, tarnished edition. They're doing the Batman Arkham Knight Armored edition, but it feels like in a lot of these cases, this is like pretty robust. Like there's a lot of extra stuff in there, or at least a little something extra here and there. I think there are, for example, in the tarnished edition of Elden Ring, it's going to include some Nintendo stuff in there, I think is what people are saying. Not a ton, but maybe a few items that are inspired by Nintendo.
What? So you'll have the Master Sword,
something like that. Again, I'm trying to keep up here, but if people want to put exactly what that was, I thought that's what I saw. But yeah, a lot of stuff does have, or a lot of these games do have things like that.
I kind of love that, but it's also very surprising to me that the Hitman stuff, especially, it is so surprising to me that Nintendo would allow their properties to be used in such violent games like that.
Yeah, I think Nintendo probably got sold on it, but like it's kind of slapstick. But also Nintendo, working with FromSoftware, we'll get to that in a little bit on an M-rated game. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe they've changed their tune a little bit. But yes, the Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition also has Nintendo-inspired stuff. So yeah, I hope you get to play as Luigi.
I just thought I could be playing the Cabaret Club mini game on the go all the time.
Exactly. That's this will be how I actually finally play Yakuza 0, I believe.
Oh my god, we should do a playthrough.
That would be fantastic.
Because when you meet Majima, oh my
god. Hollow Knight Silk Song actually did appear in a sizzle reel for like 5 seconds. But they said it's coming out this year.
Insane to me.
Yep.
That was insane. I was like, if you're going to put Silk Song in something and still say that it's 2025 and the crumb that you give people, it's just funny now. It's just funny.
Yep. Chad is right. I was mixing up Hitman and Elden Ring. Hitman is the thing with the items that are inspired by Nintendo. Let's see if I have. Yes. Let me bring this in here real quick so people could just see
I was going to say, because I don't. If me, where would they? That would be so out of character for.
Yeah,
you got the Moonlight Greatsword.
I'm sorry,
that's the big reference.
I'm just seeing these Mario items in Hitman for the first time.
Oh wait, can you? Where are they?
Let's see here. If you should catch up if you're watching the video version on the site. That is Hitman Agent 47 in a red suit with a mustache. And then he can get a mushroom, apparently, and a golden wrench, maybe that he could throw at people. I don't know. And then, let's see here. There is also a Luigi one. You can dress him up as Hitman Luigi and kill maybe... There's definitely levels with CEOs in it, everybody. So...
Oh, I mean, the final one on the signature pack where he has the white suit with the red shirt, and I was like, that's giving Kiryu. Okay.
Oh, for sure. Yes, I see that too. Yeah, that's a Kiryu look for sure. All right, let's get through the rest of this. Let me bring it back here real quick. Okay, so Hogwarts Legacy, I left off there. Nope. Story of Seasons, Grand Bazaar, Goodnight Universe, 2 Point Museum, Wild Hearts, Witchbrook, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S, Rune Factory, Guardians of Azuma, Marvel Cosmic Invasion, Star Wars Outlaws, which was the only Ubisoft game at this entire event. Normally, Ubisoft's right there, day and date, ready to go with a ton of support. Seems like
a Just Dance.
There was no Just Dance, nothing like that. No, I mean that doesn't mean they doesn't show up somewhere else eventually, but Ubisoft just maybe not in the place where they once were, where they could be ready to go with a bunch of support for new hardware. I think that says more about Ubisoft than anything else, because you got EA bringing games to this thing, and Ubisoft can only do Outlaws. But Outlaws on the Switch too, that's pretty exciting. I like that game. Nobunaga's Ambition, Awakening Complete Edition, Fast Fusion, Shadow Labyrinth, Radao Remastered, The Mystery of the Soulless Army, No Sleep for Kaname Date from AI The Somnium Files. I'm going to say The Somnium Files, that's how I think they said it in the direct. Reanimal, Fortnite, Arcade Archives 2, Ridge Racer coming out launch day. This was a big one for Mikey. He's wanted some more Ridge Racer stuff. I'm also pretty excited about the idea of Arcade Archives 2, implying that we'll get like sort of the next gen of arcade ports to the Switch too. That's pretty fun. Professor Layton and the New World of Steam. First time seeing that in a minute. I like Professor Layton quite a bit. Tamagotchi Plaza, Human Fall Flat 2. And then there was a bunch of other things that kind of like had some smaller upgrades from Switch 1 games, like Civ 7, which will now support the mouse, as we talked about earlier. All right, let's keep going here. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Zelda is back for Switch 2 in the classic way Nintendo is known for. Before Temple Zelda releases, they've had games like this in the past. This is the third one. It's going to take place before Tears of the Kingdom, and it's going to tell the sort of history of Zelda being stuck in the past is the implication here. So that's pretty cool, although I don't know, I'm not super hot on these games. I get pretty bored with them kind of fast. Although for this one, it should run a lot better than those games did on the Switch 1, which were notorious for having bad frame rates.
Yeah, I think I tried to play Persona 5 Strikers, and that was not a fun Muso experience. Ow, Jelly Bean.
Jelly Bean, chill.
She's just excited about Professor Layton.
I don't blame her. Me too. GameCube games are coming to Nintendo Switch Online. This is something that I think I was hoping for, but it was hard to get my hopes up too high. They had games announced like during this thing, including The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, and F-Zero GX. All of these things will support that sort of online mode where it's basically they are faking local multiplayer with multiple systems online, so it feels like you can actually play online against one another. You can. And then games announced to come later include Super Mario Sunshine, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, Pokemon Coliseum, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, Super Mario Strikers, Chibi Robo, Luigi's Mansion. Now, someone put this here, and I want to thank them. Metroid Prime 2, not announced for this. And that makes me think maybe there's still a chance because Metroid Prime did not get a release date during this event. They did show off improvements for Metroid Prime 4, which included, like, it's going to run at 1080, 120 frames per second, which is a really wild thing for a Nintendo system. But I'm hoping that it's going to go like Pikmin did, where a month before Pikmin 4 came out, they put 1 and 2 on Switch, and that's long after they already had 3 Deluxe. So I'm hoping the situation is similar here, where a month out from Metroid Prime 4, whenever that comes out, now it's feeling like that's coming out later this year, we get Metroid Prime 2 and 3. That's definitely copium.
That'd be the dream.
Yes. Maybe it's hopium, and maybe that's all it really is. But we'll see. I think there's a chance that that's the way it could go down. But hey, GameCube games on Nintendo Switch Online, Lucy, they probably let you pick and choose which ones you download. Because the way that works right now is with like the Super Nintendo app, it just downloads all those ROMs onto your Switch when you have that app. So they're just ready to go. But those are megabytes. Each one of these games is going to be about a gigabyte. Like you probably don't want all of them taking up your space on your Switch too, right?
Well, because also didn't they say that the SD cards aren't going to work?
The original SD cards from the Switch One won't work. Like I said, like from the Switch One, the ones that worked on the Switch One, like old technology of SD cards. There's a new generation of SD card Extreme that will work on Switch 2, and those are going to be faster and support larger sizes. But this system also has 256 gigabytes of internal storage.
If you already have like a bunch of storage options and then they're not going to work, it would suck if this new system just automatically downloaded stuff for you. That would blow. So I really hope they don't do that.
Yeah, they probably won't. I think that makes sense. But hey, overall, I'm excited about this. There are a ton of GameCube games that really stand no chance of getting remastered that they can put in here. There's even more that like will have licenses that will make it difficult for them to even end up in this thing. But this is a good middle ground of, hey, like Star Fox Assault should end up in here eventually. So looking forward to it. All right. We mentioned all those third-party games. This is kind of like when they were happening. And then we got on the other side of that, and they sort of did the home stretch with FromSoftware's The Dusk Bloods, which really came out of nowhere for me. I was not expecting this. Really, we were watching it, and while I was looking, I'm like, it looks like a FromSoft game, but a lot of games look like FromSoft games these days because everyone's inspired by them. And so I was like, maybe this is that Castlevania game that has been rumored for a long time. And then I also
wondered if it was Castlevania.
It would have made a ton of sense. In fact, it would make more sense than what this actually is, which is FromSoftware's The Dusk Bloods. It is separate from that Elden Ring Night Rain game, but this is also kind of focused on multiplayer. It is an 8-player PvPvE title with online multiplayer at its core. Now, PvPvE makes it sound like something inspired by like an extraction shooter or something like that.
Well, Night Rain has PvE.
Yeah, that's PvE. Yes, this is PvP.
Yeah, but no PvP.
Yeah, so this is going to be player versus environment. Basically, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good example. The only one that comes to mind.
Coliseum in Elden Ring, right? You can do PvP. You can obviously do PvP in a lot of From games. So is it like what Night Rain meets the Coliseum?
Yeah, I mean, here's my
like. Do you? I wonder if you spend like similar to the Night Rain loop, where you spend the day, collecting, battling, AI enemies and whatever, and then you face off against someone else at night, or I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, my expectation here is it's 2 teams of 4 going in and competing for a big prize that you have to fight, in-game enemies to get. But then if you run into each other, you need to take the other team out. And there have been other games like that. I mean, the one that keeps coming to mind, I think there was like a Robin Hood game or something like that. That didn't do
that.
Exoprimal, baby. It's back and FromSoft's making it.
That's a good example. Yeah. I think FromSoft could really nail this, but also FromSoft's online is often weird and Byzantine and weird, as I was saying how I want a Nintendo system to work. But I mean, that doesn't mean that it wouldn't be fun. So I'm hopeful, and it looked really interesting. This game is exclusive to the Switch 2, they are saying. This is a Switch 2 game only.
Is it timed exclusive?
They aren't saying that, but I bet it ends up on PC eventually. Maybe not that long afterward.
Okay, I'm on the Dusk Blood's official website.
Yeah.
Is it Miyazaki? I don't know. He's referenced in the press release as just president of FromSoftware.
Yes,
I don't know
he's doing. They're having some conversation with him. Nintendo is, but I don't think he's directing this. I'm sure he's involved. He's involved in all their games, but I don't think this is a Miyazaki project. Go ahead.
Plays the Bloodsworn, a group that has transcended human strength thanks to their special blood, and throw yourself into a violent fray for first blood as the twilight of humanity approaches.
I mean, it sounds like a party to me.
Yeah, 8 players vie for supremacy among themselves and against challenging foes.
Yeah.
I would have to find the source, Jeff, but I believe when they announced the talking to the director thing, I believe he was mentioned as director Miyazaki.
Yeah, I thought I heard that as well, Sean. So yeah, let's look into that. But
I'll try to find the source again.
At the very least, this is a FromSoft game, just like Armored Core or Dark Souls 2, where it's like, even when he's not involved, he's there, very much involved in development in a way that
he's watching.
Yes, he's watching. It's not like even like a Miyamoto situation these days, where Miyamoto is there, but he's very much in the background, and it's sort of just like understanding, like maybe he could show up one day and we want to make sure he's impressed. It's not like that. He is there giving advice to all the people making these games and guiding them.
I can't find what we saw, but on the Nintendo YouTube channel, it is mentioned as learn more about the Dusk Bloods and Creator's Voice interview with director Miyazaki, available on the official Nintendo website on April 4th.
Well, I mean, all right then. This is Miyazaki's new game. I think that the way I read this, Lucy, is FromSoftware does like working with partners. And they've had some really good success working with Bandai Namco for a long time. I don't think
is Bandai even doing this?
What's that?
They're not mentioned.
I don't think Bandai Namco's involved in this. This is just between Nintendo and FromSoft. But I think the way I read it is FromSoft did not necessarily love the way things went down with Bloodborne. And I think that they're like happy to go work with another big company on something like this. And Nintendo was apparently ready and willing to make that happen. That's the weird side of it to me, is Nintendo being like, yes, we'll help FromSoftware make an exclusive game for the Switch 2. But in terms of like, coming on this direct, Lucy, I think you mentioned it's like, this isn't a day one thing for me. And it was always going to be a day one thing for me. But I think if it didn't have this game, I would have been like, that direct felt like it didn't quite have everything it needed. It wasn't fully there. Clearly still not enough first party games announced for the early part of the Switch 2's life. But the fact that it's like they have a FromSoft game that's exclusive, I kind of can't miss that. So this is interesting.
But it's not until 26, so.
That's right. This is not until 26. Yes, so people have plenty of time to get their hands on a Switch 2 before this comes out. I'm sorry. There are so many cool images in this trailer, like that insane moon that looks like Yoko Taro, and then that flying Tin Man who had like a rocket pack steam thing. I don't know. It's pretty wild. All right.
Somewhere Vasi Vidya is shaken.
Yep, he's got a lot of work to do. Okay, they didn't end it there. There were still 2 more first-party games from Nintendo to talk about. The first one was the new game from Masahiro Sakurai, Kirby Air Riders, which will launch this year. It is a sequel to the Kirby Air Ride game for the GameCube. I think that Sakurai, I say it's a soft spot for this game. He has a soft spot for all of his games. So the fact that he returned to this franchise isn't too surprising. But maybe it's a little surprising because of how it fits into the lineup of the Switch 2, Lucy. They have Mario Kart, and then they have another racing game in Kirby Air Riders. That's a little strange, but they will play very differently. And I think Sakurai probably at this point is like saying to Nintendo, I'm just going to make what I want to make, and you guys can say yes or no. But if you say no, I'm just not going to work on anything for you. So I think he kind of can write his own checks at this point.
I think so too. And I don't know. I'm excited to see him work on something that he's also very passionate about. And like, I don't know. You could tell that by the end of Smash, he was just very over it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I hope he just doesn't get run into the ground. I hope he's working on something that he's enjoying.
Yep, and showing the trailer here, it's they don't show too much. Eventually, we get to. I mean, this is all CG and stuff, but the game's coming out this year, so we'll see more of it at some point. But yeah, it even does the thing where it's like Kirby Air Ride, and then they put the RS on the end to make it Kirby Air Riders. It's like, what are you doing? That's a weird way to introduce this game, but it definitely was a Sakurai style trailer.
Yeah.
All right, and then the final thing was what I am presuming, and maybe I could be corrected, but I think this is the new game from the 3D Mario team, Donkey Kong Bonanza, a Donkey Kong 3D platformer that is using the new Donkey Kong design that we saw in when we first were seeing Mario Kart World. This game looks really good. It
looked really fun.
It looks really fun.
I'm not a Donkey Kong person.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to matter for this. Seems like Nintendo kind of taking Donkey Kong back and doing their own thing with it. So, like, if you have a history of like Donkey Kong 64 and Donkey Kong Country, those are all rare games, and I don't think that Nintendo ever felt like those were fully theirs. Obviously, those games sold very well, especially the country games. So Nintendo adopted them. But I think there's a reason that this is a redesigned Donkey Kong. It's meant to be like this is a new, fresh start. And I think it looks fantastic, especially all these things that they're doing with like Donkey Kong punching the ground, picking up chunks of earth, and deforming the land like geomodding in Red Faction. It is a pretty wild thing to see. I mean, I'm seeing this. It looks like when you were punching all the bits in Astrobot and how fun that was, but now on a scale where you can deform the entire terrain. And we don't know like what the limitations are, but they definitely are showing a lot of that in this trailer, so it's going to be a focus. I am super excited about this. And this game is not some faraway thing. It's not even holiday. This is coming out in July. So Switch 2 will come out in June. Donkey Kong Bonanza will be there in July. To me, that feels like a pretty good 1-2 punch between Mario Kart and this. How are you feeling about the launch window from Nintendo?
100%. I mean, I'm excited to see more things, and especially like third party as they lock in releases. A lot of them, I almost posted it because it became kind of a meme to me, even halfway through the direct, where it was like, will be available on Nintendo Switch 2 when it launches later this year, or like day one when it launches later this year, because it was so funny that clearly the partners had were not allowed to say.
Yep.
And so it was like very clear. But no, I think that's a really good window for them. I think you are kind of giving different audiences what they want. You know, you are really keying in on people who want to play the multiplayer, who want to just unbox, sit around the TV, have that family time, like it's a Christmas morning kind of vibe. Christmas in July, Christmas in June. And then, you've got the single player stuff kind of start to roll out. And I like that they're giving it, like a month between these two releases. Because, I just, honestly, both of them really appeal to me, and I wouldn't know which one to jump into first.
Yep.
So I'm glad.
I think when I look at this trailer, the reason I think it's the Mario team, and I have not had that confirmed, but there are character designs that look just like the enemies right here. This guy, maybe we'll get on this save. Maybe he'll make his face again. One of these bosses this guy right here. Looks a lot like the Brutals from Super Mario Odyssey. I feel like the same. Maybe it's same artist, different team, but I doubt it. I think this is a 3D Mario team. So, Lucy, that means, are we not getting a 3D Mario anytime soon? I kind of can't see how that would happen.
Yeah,
but that's bizarre because it's been a long time since Odyssey.
It's 2017 was Odyssey.
Yes.
Oh, I'm just catching up on the stream to see where you paused it. There he is. There's that man. Yeah, I think part of me just really hoped for, because I loved Odyssey so much, that I was hoping for the next one.
Yes. Same.
However, if this is going to be kind of a gateway game for me to get more into Donkey Kong, because I didn't really grow up with Nintendo, and so it's more like I'm siphoning the excitement that I had about a new 3D Mario into this 3D Donkey Kong, and also the name. Fantastic.
Yes.
I love it.
Bonanza.
Bonanza.
You see he likes bananas. Someone mentioned Red Faction Gorilla, as in this is a gorilla, and it's the same tech as a Red Faction game, which very funny. Yeah, I want a new 3D Mario, but this, in my eyes, is basically that. It's basically that, just with a slightly different character. And frankly, Donkey Kong and Mario, they're in the same universe. I wouldn't be surprised if Mario shows up in some like tertiary way in this game, like where he's just kind of on the side. And then, maybe at some point he becomes a playable character. I doubt it, but I'm completely happy with this. I think it looks fantastic, and it maybe gives them the freedom to do some stuff that is very different, that they were like, hey, let's try to get outside the box with Mario. And they get so outside the box, like, actually, let's just use Donkey Kong instead. And this lines up with the Donkey Kong movie and the Donkey Kong ride opening up. Yeah, it's opening up at Universal. There's a Donkey Kong ride. So this is all kind of working in that direction.
Yep.
All right. There are plenty of other things to talk about, and we are running out of time. So let's do our best to get through some other elements about the Switch 2 and info that has dropped since the Direct has ended. It ended with Donkey Kong Bonanza. That was their one last thing. They gave us the release date. They didn't give us the price on stream. We talked about that already, though. So let's get to some of these tidbits. People are a little concerned about this thing called game key cards that really kind of just adds some clarity to how some things are going to work, where when a game is either too big for the game card or they don't want to use a larger game card to save money for whatever reason. So instead of getting a box with like a download code in it, you're going to get a game card so you'll have a physical game, but before the game may function, you will have to download more data. That has already been the case for some games like Mortal Kombat 1, I think, on the Switch 1.
Oh, L.A. Noire.
And L.A. Noire, yeah. And then there's that big label on the box to let you know that's how it's going to work. This feels like a sort of building on that and then just kind of making that an official thing and just calling them game key cards, as opposed to here's a game card and also it won't work. So it feels like them just kind of maybe legally positioning themselves to have a very specific form, and maybe to encourage developers who are like, hey, we have huge games that aren't going to make sense on even your largest game card. Can we just make this official? And that seems like what they're doing here. There's going to be amiibo for Luke, Jamie, and Kimberly from Street Fighter 6. So amiibo are not going away. I would not have predicted it would have been Street Fighter characters. And then they're going to have amiibo cards for the rest of, I wrote here, and then a bunch of amiibo cards, which are bullshit in my opinion. And then Sean here, he agrees with the person above. Yeah, that's right. Let's see. Mario Odyssey, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are getting free Switch 2 updates. So there will be alternatives to the big upgrades that are going to cost money or maybe be included in Nintendo Switch Online. People in chat were saying only the Zelda games might be included in the expansion pack. And you're going to have to pay for stuff like the Mario Party Jamboree update, but we'll see how that all shakes out. Separate from that, Lucy, that games like Super Mario Odyssey are now just going to run a little bit better. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. Nintendo released the list of games that will receive free updates for Switch 2, but won't receive full Switch 2 edition upgrades. During Wednesday's Nintendo Direct, Nintendo announced that several games would receive Nintendo Switch 2 editions. Switch 2 edition games are separate from standard Switch 2 backwards compatibility and need to be either purchased separately or upgraded to for owners of Switch 1 versions. However, following the event, Nintendo has announced that many Switch 1 games, including some of the console's most popular titles, will receive free updates, which Nintendo says will improve the playability of select games. By connecting your Nintendo Switch 2 to the internet, you can download free updates that may improve performance or add support for features such as game share in select games. The content of these free updates will differ depending on the game. The list includes ARMS, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, Game Builder Garage. Oh, I bet that's going to get mouse support. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Pokemon Scarlet, Pokemon Violet, and Big Brain Academy, Brain vs. Brain.
Not Splatoon? That's surprising.
Not Super Mario Maker 2 with mouse support? Come on, what are you doing? Please, Nintendo. I need that very bad. That's a shame. They might not be doing that. Maybe they're doing a new one. I doubt it, though. So, yeah, this is kind of part of a larger understanding of how backward compatibility is working with the Switch 2. Interestingly, they did provide some details about how they are actually pulling this off. And they said it's a combination of software emulation and hardware emulation. The implication there being like maybe there is a specialized chip on the system on a chip in there that is close to a Switch 1 and is handling maybe a lot of the work, and then some of the improvements to relate it over to the power of the Switch 2 is being done by software, and that's connecting the two things. Nintendo has frequently just included the same hardware from last generation in the new generation on its handhelds, where, you know, the DS just had a Game Boy Advance inside of it. So that's something they've done a bunch before. It sounds like that this hybrid solution is offering them a little bit more flexibility. But they said they tried to do it with just software, and that was going to cause battery life to be really bad on the Switch 2 because it just needed to use all of its power.
All that juice.
Yeah, all the juice just to emulate Switch 1 games, and they didn't want to just go that route. Switch 2 GameCube controller will only be offered to those who pre-order the console, at least in some territories. This is from Jordan Miller at VGC as well. Nintendo has announced that the Switch 2 GameCube controller will only be offered to those who pre-order the console via the My Nintendo store. You can register with the My Nintendo store now to say, hey, I'm interested to pre-order this thing when it's available. And eventually they're going to contact you and say, go for it. Here's a chance to try to do that. And then in that moment, it sounds like they will offer people the chance to buy the GameCube controller. They've sold these controllers through the My Nintendo store in the past when it was for the NES or the Super Nintendo or the N64. And they sell out fast. So I bet the GameCube controller is going to be the worst of
definitely
those. Yeah.
Swoop those up. Ouch.
The pricing was announced for other Switch 2 accessories. The camera is going to be $50. The Switch 2 Pro controller, which is new and has like the C button, for example, is $80. Let's see here. That GameCube controller is going to be $65. And then they're going to have Nintendo branded micro SD express cards with a capacity of 256 gigabytes for $55. You'll be able to buy express cards on Amazon, you know, for that price and lower here pretty soon. Yes, much cheaper.
Yeah. But this one has the Mario style M on it.
Yeah, how do you feel about that when the SD cards are branded? I always find that pretty silly.
I saw some which had Pokemon on it, and I thought they were really cute, but at the same time, it will be in my machine where I will never see it.
Right, exactly. That's the thing. It's like you never see these things, so it's like hard to care too much. All right, couple more things. The Switch 2 home screen, we got to look at that. It looks a lot like a Switch 1 home screen with some more rounded elements, and that's about it.
Ooh.
We don't know if personalization is going to be in this or not. Like maybe you can have themes now or add your own screenshots to the background. As it looks right now, it looks a lot like a Switch 1. Does that bum you out?
Not really. I don't think I was expecting anything like too huge in terms of change. I mean, the whole time people have been talking about Switch 2, it's very much been in the same vein as this is not the big generational upgrade. This is more like a Switch Pro. And I think that's very much in line with what we're seeing here and with regards to the home screen too.
Yep. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine with me. Yep, totally. A lot of these games look good enough to me really a lot of them looked good enough to me on the Switch 1. The fact that we're now going to get a lot of those games in 60 frames per second, I'm fine with that. And then when it comes to the interface, I just need something to be, hey, we can get you into the games quickly. I hope that what the real reason behind all this is so that it's super snappy to use. And the real thing is that eShop better be running flawlessly on the Switch 2. I am so sick.
Bring back the song, goddammit.
Yeah, bring back the song for sure. As that's number 2. That's step 2 after just get it to a point where when I try to load something, it happens relatively instantly as opposed to what it is now, which is a kind of just gruesome wait that drives me crazy every time I try to use the Switch 2 eShop.
Gruesome.
Yeah. Nintendo will sell a cheaper $330 Switch 2 in Japan. That's region locked.
God damn it.
I know we're running out of time, but my show's next, right, Sean? So we're not cutting in anything else.
You can go as long as you want, man. You're cutting into your own time.
Fantastic. And then, Lucy, if you got to get out of here, let me know. We can just have Sean hop in instead if you got anything going on.
Yeah, I got to go. I got a thing, and I can stay for a couple of minutes.
Okay, great.
I want to talk about the box art, which is why. Then I'll pop.
Yes. Oh, okay. We'll get to that next. Switch 2 in Japan, $330. That is significantly discounted. And it's region locked. I have a couple of guesses why this is happening. Obviously, the big one being they need tariffs. Right? They can ship it to Japan, no problem. The Japan's not going to put tariffs on one of their own companies to ship something into that country, so they can charge a lot less. And And then the region lock prevents people from being like, well, I'll go buy a Japanese version and have it shipped to me in the United States. And even with the added cost on top of that, it's still going to be less money than if I bought it in the United States. No, you're not going to be able to do that. Not really. I also think this might have something to do with China. I think there was, this is kind of on the ground reporting or some maybe theorizing that a lot of hardware in Japan gets purchased and then immediately shipped to China. That's definitely true for PlayStation 5s for sure. I don't know how true that is for Switch, but I wonder if Nintendo was like having that in mind here, and that's why this was ready to go. Even because I don't know how quickly they could have gone from, hey, we're making a Switch 2 to, oh my God, Trump is elected and he's talking about all these crazy tariffs. We got to like come up with a region locked Switch 2. That seems a bit of a quick turnaround. Either way, it is helping them in a situation where they want to have something affordable for their domestic market, and then something that they can then export at a much higher price. But I mean, it does make me think that I don't think Nintendo wanted to charge $450/$500 for the Switch 2 in the United States. I think they're doing that because of all of the economic situations that are happening with tariffs and with the global economic situation. So, yeah, that's a real bummer that we probably could have got the system at a much more affordable price, and now we just won't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
All right. I think the box art looks terrible. I'll bring it up for everybody.
It looks uneven. Like it's not pleasing to the eye.
Where is it? Where'd I put it? All right, I'll find it. Hang on.
It's in the Wednesday doc.
Yeah, I got it there, but I wanted to bring it up for everybody else. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's like, I don't know, especially like when it ever has the fine print on it, that looks especially ugly. But that's true of all game cases when they have a big block of fine print. But I think even without that,
the Armored Edition, never forget.
Yes. Even without that, I think that the Switch 2 band at the top is big and bold in a way I just don't like. Let's see here. I don't
understand why they just haven't gone with a little thing in the corner. I guess maybe to really differentiate it, to be like so clear that it's Switch 2.
Yes. Yeah. Here you go, everybody. Take a look. Listen, I think that this Donkey Kong Bonanza art is fantastic, and then this big ugly strip at the top just isn't great. And you're right, there's something unbalanced about it. Like the feng shui is off because there's this huge negative red space next to the Switch 2 logo. Like, just do something with all this, or make this a small badge at the top left. I don't know, I'm no designer. I just know I don't like looking at this.
No.
Yeah, and then like
not enjoying it.
Yeah, the case itself underneath is red as well, so you have like this border that sort of joins up with the band. I don't know. It's rough stuff. Okay, we got a handful more things to talk about. We'll keep going here. When they were picking the Switch 2 name, they said there were a lot of ideas for the name, and we really struggled to find the right one. We even considered ideas like Super Nintendo Switch. However, Super NES, which came out after the NES, couldn't play NES games. Since the Switch 2 can play Switch games, it didn't feel right to use the same naming convention as the Super NES. Switch 2 is a new system with improved performance, but we'd like players to get their hands on it and not focus on the specs, but rather to think of it as the latest system developed by Nintendo. I think Switch 2 gets that across, and I think we all kind of felt that way, right?
I think that works.
Yes.
I mean, Super Switch would have been fun, but yeah.
Yep,
they wanted to get Nintendo in there, so I get it.
Yep. Let's see here. Dizzy Hippos in chat says Wario64 posted Australian something from Australia that says Street Fighter 6 is 50 gigabytes on Switch 2. That 256 gigabytes is going to fill up fast. Oh yeah, you're going to need an SD card. The good news though is
don't worry, you can buy one with a little Mario M on it.
Exactly, and it'll be quite expensive. You'll be able to put a terabyte in this thing, a terabyte SD card, and it'll be fast. I bet the extreme version of that's going to be pretty expensive, so it might be a while before you want to buy one of those. But as you are filling up that 256 gigabytes, maybe wait till Black Friday this year and get like a 500 gigabyte SD Extreme. Or I'm sorry, Express. I keep saying Extreme. All right. Zelda Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom will have achievements on Nintendo Switch 2. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. This is my first time seeing this. I had the boys add some stuff in here as we were working on things. So let me read this. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild will both get Switch 2 editions, as well as a new app, Zelda Notes. That's right, it was a new app, which will be part of the Nintendo app. Also on the way is an update to the Nintendo Switch app called, this is just them repeating that. This game-specific service is exclusive to the Switch 2 editions of the games and helps players navigate to various locations, like the difficult-to-find shrine or hidden Korok, and will even feature commentary from Princess Zelda herself that was not part of the original games. Not the developers, from a fictional character. The Zelda Notes... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, here, when I was falling from the sky, I was really thinking about...
the performance. I'm just working on the C++ of it all. All right, the Zelda Notes app will also feature a long-requested feature for Nintendo consoles, achievements. The achievements will track things like weapons collected, the number of shrines completed, and other in-game metrics. Another achievement system, medals, will be awarded for reaching certain in-game milestones. But it's just for the Zelda app. Are they going to have this for every game? It doesn't sound like it. Is there going to be a Mario Kart app where you can get achievements? This is a weird way to do this.
That is a weird way to do achievements. It's kind of more like... I'm trying to think of the games that would do it, but yeah, they would just kind of let you know how many things you've got to go rather than trying to play the guessing game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be useful for these games for sure, and I bet people will be excited that there's any form of achievement. But this does not sound like system-level achievements that people have really been asking for. All right.
This is a fairly common thing on the Switch nowadays, where games have just platform agnostic built-in achievements.
Yes, I've seen that a bunch.
I guess Nintendo's just doing it themselves. I wouldn't be surprised if the Nintendo reasoning is because otherwise system-level achievements, every game needs to do it, and they don't want to force that on developers.
Yep, probably.
Yeah.
I personally am fine with that. You know me, I do not care about achievements. All right, and they're renaming Nintendo Switch Online games. They're now called Nintendo Classics. Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Definitely works for me. Mm-hmm. All right. There's plenty more to talk about, but I think what we're going to do now is let's wrap up this show. We'll go into Grubb's Gimmicks, and we'll keep talking about the Nintendo Switch 2, everybody. We'll make it a Switch 2 sort of chat where we're trying to figure out everything, see how people are feeling, maybe watch some of these trailers again. In the meantime,
then you and I are playing Inzoi, buddy.
Yes, then we're playing Inzoi. That's right. Look out for that, everybody, if you're watching the Power Block. Watch that. You know what we're going to do is we're going to skip the poll. We'll get back to the poll with tomorrow's show. Get back on track with a normal episode of Game Breaking News. This was a special report just dedicated to the Switch 2. So let's wrap things up. Sean, thanks for your help. Lucy James, thank you for hanging out with me today and talking about video games. I really appreciate it.
Of course, anytime.
And all right. You know what? We'll do. Let's do another poll. We'll have 2 polls on tomorrow's episode. Grade that direct. How do you feel about the Switch 2 direct? A, B, C, or D, and lower. We'll get that up there on youtube.com/@GiantBomb, the community tab. You can vote there. We'll get the results for tomorrow's Game Breaking News. In the meantime, thank you all so much for listening and watching. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.